sentences. I know this is something that Shane and I were talking about. How many of you pled out? Basically everybody. Yeah.
Now, the vast majority of federal drug cases result in plea bargain deals, which are a way to avoid the huge sentences that the system might impose if the defendant actually took his case to trial and lost. Now, in a plea deal, the defendant says he's guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence, no matter how weak the case against him might be.
Didn't they charge you for a crime that you were supposed to have committed while you were in prison?
Yes. I kind of feel that I probably could have, beat the charge, but due to my criminal background, I was more scared of the time I was going to get.
And you were telling me about the same thing, that you pled down for
pled down to 15 years. My lawyer told me I would get life if I take it to trial.
And Judge Gleason explained to us how these mandatory minimum sentences have driven plea rates higher and higher.
One way in which prosecutors use the powers that Congress gave them is to say to someone, the way you're going to get out from under an unjust mandatory sentence is you plead guilty. The federal criminal trial is kind of disappearing. Before we had this regime, the guilty plea rate used to be 80%. We now have a federal guilty plea rate of over 97%. Fewer of 3% of the cases go to trial.
Prosecutors are determining how much time they're going to get before it goes to trial.
You're right. Sometimes they use their power to compel an outcome that's unjust.
This can happen even if the defendant isn't actually caught dealing drugs. Through what's called a conspiracy charge, he can be convicted for merely agreeing to commit a crime with another person. David Shaw pled guilty to conspiracy to distribute crack. Now, he contends that he was charged on the basis of allegations from people he didn't even know, on a date when he says he was already incarcerated for a separate offense.
I was indicted on a 280-gram conspiracy to distribute it, controlled substance, crack cocaine. And they got 3 people that's willing to testify against you and saying that you done dealt with them prior in the past of selling drugs.
So there were federal inmates
Yes.
who basically said that you had been with them in
They said that I sold them a certain amount of drugs so many times on this day. What's weird about that, too, the time they said I was selling drugs, I was incarcerated at that time that they said I was selling them drugs.
If you're incarcerated when you're supposed to be selling drugs, why would you plead out? And that doesn't seem to make any sense.
I mean, the reason why I pleaded out because, it's hard to beat. I done seen plenty of people that took it to trial and end up with a whole lot of time. When you go to court, when they bring these people back, they got people that you don't even know that's testifying against you. Because I had people on my case that I have never met before. I don't even know their name.
However, under conspiracy laws, that's actually allowed, because defendants can be found responsible for any earlier discussions about selling drugs.
Wow.
They call it ghost dope. You charge me with 280 grams, but you don't have a gram of dope. You don't have a phone where anything on the phone talking about drugs, no wiretap, none of that. But you still convict me off of he say, she say.
You were saying, well, it's 3 against 1. I don't even know who these guys are. They're gonna say that I did it because they get reduced sentences, and then he gets 30 years.
You were risking the possibility of 30 years.
Possibility,
30 years would be a long time.